Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel Dhyani classes. If you're watching my video for the first time, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So in today's video, we will cover the second part of the chapter, The 100 Dresses 2, written by E.L. Bisor from class 10th CBSE. So let's get started. So in the first part of the chapter, we have seen both girls understood that Wanda had left the house and they knocked firmly twice on the door, but they did not get any answer. And then Maddie was feeling very sad because she could not meet her to tell sorry, and then they decided to go back to home, and slowly they started walking towards the hill. And then Peggy said, just leave it and don't be sad because she's gone now and there is nothing much we could do. And she was also trying to change Maddie's mood while asking about Wanda's dresses because she thought Maddie would change her mood and would feel happy. And then Maddie became very happy and both Maddie and Peggy started talking to each other about the dresses, and they were giving their own opinion and ideas on making more beautiful drawings. So let's begin with the last part of the chapter now. She might not even have won the contest otherwise. So here Peggy also said that Wanda would not have won the contest because she used to ask about her dresses and reminded her colors and designs of her dresses, and hence she was able to win the contest, otherwise she wouldn't have won the drawing competition. Maddie turned this idea carefully over in her head, for if there were anything in it, she would not have to feel so badly. So here she is saying that finally both girls started coming back to their house, but while walking, Maddie was feeling very sad because she could not find Wanda and tell her sorry. But on the other hand, Peggy was looking very confident and she was giving her opinion into a positive one. But that night she could not get to sleep. So when Maddie reached her home, she could not get to sleep. That means she was not able to sleep in the night and is still thinking about Wanda Petronski. She thought about Wanda and her faded blue dress and the little house she lived in. So here she was thinking about Wanda and her dresses, and especially her faded blue dress, and about her little house in which Wanda used to live in Boginside. And she thought of the glowing picture those 100 dresses made, all lined up in the classroom. So here she is saying that still Maddie was thinking about the glowing picture. That means she was still thinking about those paintings of 100 dresses that drawn by Wanda Petronski, and she is all lined up in the classroom. That means all designs of dresses that she had made were in the classroom. So glowing picture means impressive or beautiful pictures. At last Maddie sat up in bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hands and really thought. So here she is saying that at last Maddie sat up in bed. That means she was not able to sleep because many thoughts were coming in her mind, and said pressed her forehead tight in her hands and thought. That means after thinking all about this, she started pressing her head because she was not able to find out Wanda Petronski and tell her sorry, and then again she started thinking deeply. So it was very painful for her whenever she was thinking about the letter that Wanda's father had sent to the principal by saying, my daughter Wanda Petronski and my son Jack will not come to the school anymore. She was the hardest thinking she had ever done. So this was very hard and very difficult for Maddie to come out from this terrible experience, and she never thought like this earlier in her life because she was not able to sleep properly. After a long time, she reached an important conclusion. So as she was deeply thinking about Wanda Petronski and about her beautiful designs and how she left the school just because of her, and after thinking for a long time, she reached an important conclusion. That means she took a very important decision. So conclusion means results or the end or the finish line. Further she says she was never going to stand by and say nothing again. So now she took a very important decision or come to an end what she was thinking earlier, and then she decided that she is not going to stand by. That means she will never support anyone who is going to make fun of people who have funny look or name, and she will also not comment or laugh anybody who has a strange and funny name. So this was an important conclusion and decision that she will never support such people or students who are making fun of others just because of their strange look or names. If she heard anybody picking on someone because they were funny looking or because they had strange names, she would speak up. So in the end, author is saying that Maddie also decided that if she ever heard anybody picking on someone, that means she will go against the people who is going to make fun others just because of funny looking or just because of they have a strange look or strange name. So here she is saying that she is going to stand against such people who are making fun of others, even if it meant losing Peggy's friendship. So here Maddie is also saying that she would also go against Peggy as well if she makes fun of others once again just because of their funny looking or funny names, and she would never stand by her anymore, and even she was ready to break up. That means it doesn't matter for her if she is losing her best friend. She had no way of making things right with Wanda, but from now on she would never made anybody else that unhappy again. So here she is saying that she had no way of making things right with Wanda. That means she could not find Wanda Petronski and she was not able to say sorry to her. So she was very upset and felt sorry for Wanda, and then she decided that from now onwards she would never make anybody else unhappy again. That means she promised herself that she is not going to make fun of anybody in her life going forward, so that nobody would feel unhappy just because of her or teasing by her. So she promised that she is not going to make anybody unhappy again. On Saturday, Maddie spent the afternoon with Peggy. So on Saturday afternoon, Maddie went to Peggy's house and spent some time with her. And why she went to Peggy's house? Because they were writing a letter to Wanda Petronski. That means both the girls decided to write a letter to Wanda Petronski. So they thought it would be a great idea to write a letter to her by saying sorry for what they have done with her, because they couldn't find Wanda Petronski where she used to live, and says it was just a friendly letter telling about the context and telling Wanda she had won. So here she is saying that both the girls started writing a letter to Wanda Petronski and says it was just a friendly letter. That means it was just a normal letter, and through the letter they wanted to inform her that she had won the contest, and everybody in the classroom number 13 had clapped for her. Further she says they told her how pretty her drawings were. So they also wanted to tell her that how pretty her drawings were. That means how beautifully and nicely she had decorated. That means all the designs were beautifully decorated by her. So it was not a big letter, but it was just a friendly letter, and they wanted to tell her about the contest that she had won. And says, and they asked her if she liked where she was living and if she liked her new teacher. So through the letter, both the girls also asked if she liked where she was living at that moment and if she liked the new school teacher, and says they had meant to say they were sorry, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter. That means they wanted to tell her sorry, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter. That means they ended their letter by saying if she liked the place where she is living and if she liked her new teacher in a very friendly manner. And further she says the kind they would have written to any good friend, and they signed it with lots of access for love. So here she is saying that the kind they would have written to any good friend, that means they wrote a letter using very nice words and phrases in order to get to know how she is doing and where she is living as a good friend or as a close friend, so that she can answer the letter and they would be able to tell her sorry to her what they have done with her, and they signed it with lots of access for love. That means they ended the letter using emojis of hugs or expressing affection, sincerity or deep friendship with her. They mailed the letter to Bogin's Height, writing please forward on the envelope. So here she is saying that as they signed a letter with lots of access for love and then they mailed the letter to Bogin's Height, that means they posted the letter to Wanda's address, and it was Bogin's Height because they knew Bogin's Height where Wanda used to live, and they also wrote on an envelope please forward. That means if Wanda is not staying there, they will have to forward it to the new address. Days passed and there was no answer, but the letter did not come back, so maybe Wanda had received it. So after mailing a letter to Wogan's Height, both girls desperately waiting for the reply, but days passed and there was no answer. That means so many days passed, but they didn't get any answer from Wanda Petronski, and then they felt that maybe Wanda had received it, so they were guessing that if they are not getting any reply from Wanda Petronski, that means a letter had been delivered to Wanda's house and says perhaps she was so hurt and angry and she was not going to answer. So here, as days passed, but they didn't get any answer from Wanda Petronski, and then they thought that she was so hurt and angry. That means they thought that she is still feeling sad and still feeling angry that what they have done with her, and then she left her school and her beautiful place where she used to live. So that's why she is not writing back. You could not blame her. Weeks went by and still Wanda did not answer. So they also thought that it is appropriate that Wanda is not writing back, because they teased her a lot by asking same question every day, how many dresses you have, in a funniest manner. So in this way they could not blame her that why she is not replying, and says weeks went by and still Wanda did not answer. That means it had been a long time and still they were waiting for the reply from Wanda Petronski, but they never got a reply from her. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business, and Maddie put herself to sleep at night making speeches about Wanda, defending her from great cohorts of girls who were trying to tease her with how many dresses you have got. So here, as they were not getting reply from Wanda Petronski, Peggy started to forget the whole business. That means she started to forget all about the Wanda, but on the other hand, Maddie put herself to sleep at night making speeches about Wanda. That means she started speaking or making speeches defending her from great cohorts of girls who were trying to tease her with. That means she started making speeches how she was trying to stand up with Wanda to save her from great cohort of girls who were trying to make fun of her by saying how many dresses you have. Further she says, and before Wanda could press her lips together in a tight line the way she did before answering, Maddie would cry out, "Stop." So Maddie used to practice every night, and it was her daily routine how she would react to protect Wanda Petronski from other girls who were making fun of her, and she would shout out loud these girls before Wanda's answer by saying stop teasing her, and says then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. So she also thought that these girls would also feel ashamed just like Wanda Petronski used to feel, and when they used to ask her how many dresses you have and then laugh at her madly. So ashamed means feeling embarrassed or sorry. Now it was Christmas time and there was snow on the ground. So here she is saying that now it was Christmas time and there was snow on the ground, but still Maddie was thinking about Wanda Petronski and imagining how she was trying to protect Wanda from the girls who were teasing her. But then slowly it was Christmas time and there was snow everywhere on the ground. Christmas bells and a small tree decorated the classroom. So here she is saying that it was Christmas Eve and a small tree decorated the classroom. That means they have decorated a Christmas tree in the classroom with lighting and bells on it. So decorated means beautifying or garnish it. And says on the last day of school before the holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. So it was the last day before the holiday and the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. That means Miss Mason again received a letter on that the last day of the school, and it was written by Wanda because she wanted to say something to her classmate who were studying with her earlier. You remember Wanda Petronski, the gifted little artist who won the drawing contest. So here, as we know that Wanda wrote a letter and the school teacher received it, and the class teacher also she was also feeling very happy and said you remember Wanda Petronski, the gifted little artist who won the drawing contest. That means she was asking the student in a very happy mood that do you know where Wanda Petronski is living. And why she is asking, because she got a letter from Wanda Petronski and now she got to know where she was living at that moment. Further she is saying, well, she has written me and I'm glad to know where she lives because now I can send her medals. So the class teacher is saying she has written a letter to me and I'm very happy to know where she lives because she got a letter from Wanda Petronski and now she could send her medals that she had won for the drawing contest. So everybody in the classroom sat in their places and the whole class wanted to know what was there in the letter, especially Maddie and Peggy. And they were all sitting very quietly and listening to the class teacher very carefully while reading the letter. So let's see what was there in the letter in next slide. Dear Miss Mason, how are you in room 13? Please tell the girls they can keep those 100 dresses because in my new house I have 100 new ones all lined up in my closet. So here she is greeting her school teacher Miss Mason and wanted to know by saying that how she and all the children who were sitting in room number 13 are doing. So she also wrote about Maddie and Peggy that told these two girls to keep designs of those 100 dresses that she left and says I don't need it because in my new house I have 100 new ones and all lined up in my closet. That means she wanted to tell the class teacher to tell these two girls Maddie and Peggy that in my new house I have new 100 dresses and all lined up in my closet. I would like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with red trimming and her friend Maddie to have the blue one. So she also wrote that Peggy can have drawing of dress with the red trimming, that means with red clipping or cuttings, and her friend Maddie can have the blue drawing and says for Christmas I miss that school and my new teacher does not equalize with you. So she also wrote that she is missing her classmates and especially Miss Mason because of the Christmas and says her new class teacher is not good as compared to her new class teacher. So equalize means compare or equal and says Merry Christmas to you and everybody, yours truly Wanda Petronski. So she wrote this letter for Maddie and Peggy in order to dedicate those pictures to both of them and said she also missed classmates, the class teacher and the school and then in the end she wishes everybody to Merry Christmas. On the way home from school, Maddie and Peggy held their drawings very carefully. So here the author is saying that on the way home from school, that means while coming back to the house from school, both Maddie and Peggy took their drawings very carefully because it was drawn by Wanda Petronski and now they have realized the importance of her drawings and says all the houses had wreaths and holly in the windows. That means they also noticed that the house were decorated with wreaths and holly, that means flowers and green dark leaves in the windows. Outside the grocery stores, hundreds of Christmas trees were stacked in the windows. Candy peppermint sticks and cornucopias of shiny transparent paper were strung. So they also saw on the way from the school outside the grocery store that there were hundreds of Christmas trees were put together in a row and in the windows. They also saw candy peppermint sticks and cornucopias of shiny transparent paper were strung. That means all the decorative stuff and food product or gift item were also there in every shop. So stacked means put together or assembled and cornucopias means a large corn shaped container or basket where you can put flowers, fruits and corns and small gifts that are used for decoration. Further she says the air smelled like Christmas and lights shining everywhere reflected different colors on the snow. Boy, said Peggy, this shows she really likes us. So here she is saying that the air smelled like Christmas. That means it was Christmas time and everybody was looking very happy and eager to celebrate this year-end festival of Christmas. And all around the market or the house were decorated with different colors of lights. And they were very happy because they also got a letter from Wanda Petronski by saying Merry Christmas. And then Peggy exclaimed that Wanda is no more angry with them. It shows she got our letter and this is her way of saying that everything is alright and that's that. I hope so, said Maddie sadly. So while seeing all these things, both girls were thinking about Wanda Petronski that it shows she got our letter. That means they understood that Wanda had got a letter which they have sent to the Wanda Petronski earlier by saying she won the drawing contest and all, and they were also very happy that Wanda Petronski said everything is alright. That means she is no more angry with them because she wrote a letter by saying Merry Christmas, but at the same time Maddie was not happy at all because she wanted to meet Wanda Petronski personally and tell her sorry for what she had done. She felt sad because she knew she would never see the little tight-lipped polished girl again and couldn't ever really make things right between them. So here she is talking about Maddie because she knew she would never meet or see Wanda Petronski again, and she also wanted to make things all right between her and Wanda Petronski by saying sorry for what she has done. So she was feeling very sad and says, She went home and pinned her drawing over a torn place in the pink flower wallpaper in the bedroom. So finally Maddie reached her home and she took all the drawings to her home and pinned her drawing over the torn place in the pink flower wallpaper. That means she pinned all the beautiful drawings over her torn place of pink flower wallpaper in the bedroom. The shabby room came alive from the brilliancy of the colors. So when Maddie pinned all the beautiful drawings on the walls, her shabby room, that means dark or faded room, came alive with beautiful colors and the room was looking very beautiful. And says Maddie sat down on her bed and looked at the drawing. So later on she got up and sat down on her bed and started looking at the drawings and thinking about Wanda Petronski, and then she had stood by and said nothing, but Wanda had been nice to her anyway. So while thinking about Wanda Petronski, she stood up from the bed and came closer to the drawings and said, but Wanda had been nice to her anyway. That means she was also thinking about Wanda Petronski and Peggy, that Peggy used to tease her by saying how many dresses you have every day. But I was only standing by the side of Peggy, but she never commented on Wanda Petronski. But yes, she could stop Peggy at that time. Tears blurred her eyes and she gazed for a long time at the picture. So here she is saying that tears blurred her eyes. That means tears came out from her eyes and she gazed for a long time at the picture. So when she came closer to the painting, she felt very sad and gazed for a long time. That means she was looking at the picture for a long time and thinking about Wanda Petronski and started crying, and says, then hastily she rubbed her eyes and studied it intently. So immediately she hastily rubbed her tears. That means she wiped off her tears and studied it intently. That means she was looking at the picture very attentively and carefully, as if she was reading something. And what she was looking at the picture carefully? The colors in the dress were so vivid that she had scarcely noticed the face and head of the drawing. So here Maddie was also looking at the painting and the color applied in dress were so vivid. That means applied colors were so clear and bright, and then she had scarcely noticed the face and head of the drawing. That means earlier she did not notice head and face of the drawing, but this time she was noticing face and head of the drawing. So scarcely means barely or only just. Further she says, but it looked like her, Maddie, it really looked like her own mouth. So here as Maddie was looking at the picture very closely and said, but it looked like her, Maddie, that means Wanda Petronski had drawn Maddie's face, and seeing this picture, Maddie became very amused and surprised, and she can't believe her own eyes and said, why, it really looked like her own self. Wanda had really drawn this for her. So that means she found her own face in that picture drawn by Wanda Petronski in the blue dress, and says excitedly she ran over to Peggy's. So when she found her own face on a painting, she got surprised and in excitement she ran over to Peggy's. That means immediately she went to Peggy's house to meet her. Further she says, Peg, she said, let me see your picture. What's the matter? Asked Peggy. So Maddie ran to Peggy's house to meet her, and she said, hey Peg, let me see your picture. That means Maddie wanted to see her picture also. And then Peggy asked, what's the matter? That means why are you so excited to see the picture? And then as they clattered up to her room where Wanda's drawing was lying face down on the bed. That means both Peggy and Maddie went inside the room quickly while making rattling sound, where Peggy kept all the pictures face down on her bed. Maddie carefully raised it. Look, she drew you, that's you, she exclaimed. So as soon as they went inside the room, Maddie carefully raised it, that means picking one of the paintings very carefully, and exclaimed, that means shouting out loud, that hey Peg, look at this picture. This picture is your picture drawn by Wanda Petronski with the green dress while showing her painting. And the head and face of this picture did look like Peggy. What did I say? So when Peggy saw the picture, and especially the head and face of the picture, she got surprised and she found her own face in that picture. And then Maddie said, what did I say? That means she already told Peggy that the head and face is looking like yours and Wanda had drawn it, and then said Peggy, she must have really liked us anyway. So they were also very happy that Wanda really liked us, and now she was not angry with them anyway. And then Maddie said, yes, she must have agreed Maddie. So Peggy believes that Wanda was not angry with them, and then Maddie also agreed with Peggy that Wanda really likes both of them. Further she says, and she blinked away the tears that came every time she thought of Wanda standing alone in the sunny spot in the schoolyard. So here the author is saying that Maddie used to feel very sad and wanted to tell sorry Wanda Petronski when she used to think about Wanda, that Wanda is standing alone and the girls are making fun of her and teasing her in a sunny spot in the schoolyard, that means in front of the school, and this thought made her very sad and tears used to come down her eyes, and then she wiped them off and says, looking stolidly over the group of laughing girls after she had walked off, after she had said, sure, 100 of them all lined up. So Maddie used to think of Wanda Petronski all the time, that how Wanda used to just walk off after the girls made fun of her by asking, how many dresses you have? And she used to give the same answer every single day, that I have 100 dresses and all lined up in my closet, and then girls used to laugh on her. So this thought used to come Maddie's mind every single day, and she used to feel sad and disappointed. So this is a very beautiful story, and this story tells us that we should think before teasing anyone and to be humble and kind to others. So moral of the story is how we have to be humble and polite to others, and also think of the words that we use, because wording can hurt feelings a lot and it can create lot of changes. So always mind your words and be kind and modest to others. So this is the end of the chapter. I hope you liked the video. For more informative videos, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So thank you so much for watching once again. Stay safe, stay healthy.